Joining me now is Trump campaign senior advisor Danielle Alvarez. And Danielle, thanks for coming on. I want to start by playing you something that J.D. Vance said at a fundraiser in his first appearance as the Republican vice presidential nominee. This was after the assassination attempt during RNC week. Let's listen.
I cannot believe an assassin tried to take down the president of the United States. I was mad about it. Was he mad and angry? He called for national unity. He called for calm. He showed leadership, my friends, that the media keeps on saying they want somebody to tone down the temperature. Well, Donald Trump got shot and he toned down the temperature. That's what a real leader does.
And then last night we heard Trump say he's not going to be nice anymore and call the other side a threat to democracy that will destroy our country. He called Harris a lunatic. This is 2 weeks later. Should we assume he is done turning down the temperature?
Well, I think that following the assassination attempt, it took a leader like President Trump to understand and meet the moment. He stood up. He let the crowd know that he was okay as they were waiting with bated breath. Many of your colleagues were there as well. But we are in a presidential race and the stakes are incredibly high. And Kamala Harris is dangerously liberal. So we need to call balls and strikes like we see them. It's very important to call her on her record. She's the original border czar. She was a part of the Harris-Biden administration that has caused chaos on the world stage, record inflation. I mean, just disaster after disaster. And it is really important that we be honest about that record and say it clearly because it's what the American people will be deciding on.
A record is one thing. I think lunatic is another thing. I want to ask you about these different attacks that we've started to see from the former president and from members of his party. Both parties are really trying to define Kamala Harris. We just talked about that in our last segment. Has the Trump campaign decided kind of which road you want to go down? I have a hard time combining the messages. On the one hand, Trump calls her incompetent. On the other hand, he implies that she's the person behind the scenes pulling all the strings in the Biden White House. So which is it?
Both things can absolutely be true. She is incompetent in the policies that she has supported with Joe Biden. Let's remember she was the deciding vote on the $1.9 trillion spending package in the administration that rocketed us into inflation. So she is both incompetent and failed in her leadership, but she is absolutely making those decisions. She is a failed border czar. She was given that task by Joe Biden. She was in Houston today, 300 miles from the border, and has not gone to see the devastation and the mess that her failure has resulted in. With the fentanyl pouring in, with the migrant crime rising, I mean, that is squarely on the Harris-Biden administration and on Kamala Harris, who was the original border czar.
Since you brought up the border, I want to ask about the Trump campaign's plan for the border. It's sort of a signature issue for the former president, as you know. We saw signs last night in Charlotte that said, "Deport illegals now." Now, Donald Trump has said he'll institute the largest deportation effort in U.S. history, but he hasn't given a lot of details about how that will work. So I'm curious what else you can tell me about that plan. What'll it cost? Will he seek to deport every single undocumented immigrant in the United States, something like 11 million people?
It's a key factor in his platform. The president passed a historic platform that he wrote himself, Agenda 47 and the RNC platform, and it is one of the key points. It's broadly supported by every American, including Hispanic Americans. And the reality is that we cannot sustain the 10 million plus illegal border crossings of the Biden-Harris administration. It is a failure.
But Danielle, passing a platform is very different from passing a law. I mean, what I still haven't heard is anything about how this would actually work.
Well, as we know, President Trump has a record of success of accomplishing things when the Washington, D.C. elites say that it can't be accomplished. And so he has said that he will secure the border. He has said that he will deport illegal immigrants and those that have crossed under the Biden-Harris administration. And you can definitely take that to the bank. It is a priority of his in the administration. He's run on the border since 2015. It's an issue that is top of mind for American voters. In the focus groups and in the polling that we have seen, it is the #1 or #2 issue and it trades with inflation and the economy. And so the president is going to take care of both of those, as his record in the White House has shown previously.
I don't dispute the salience of the issue, but it's not quite clear to me what I'm taking to the bank at this point other than a concept. I want to move on, though. We've also talked about how your campaign wants to define the vice president, but I want to play a little bit of how she's trying to define herself as we get into this 100-day sprint here. Listen to this.
I was elected Attorney General of the state of California, and I was a courtroom prosecutor before then. And in those roles, I took on perpetrators of all kinds. Predators who abused women, fraudsters who ripped off consumers, cheaters who broke the rules for their own gain. So hear me when I say, I know Donald Trump's type.
So does she? What's the Trump campaign's response to that?
Kamala Harris is chaotic on crime at best. We know that she was very harsh for minor crimes, especially as it related to the Black community, went for the harshest sentences and imprisoned Black men. But then she was very soft on illegal immigrants. And we know that to be true with the Bologna family when she would not prosecute the MS-13 gang member who brutally murdered two members of the family. You know, she never pursued charges and never went harshly against illegal immigrants. And it goes back to her being, again, chaotic on crime, soft on crime when she should not have been, and too harsh in other instances. And she's, again, it goes back to being very weak on the border. This is someone who in 2020 campaigned on abolishing ICE, wanted to decriminalize border crossings. We know that the top issue for voters, one of the top two at least, she is very, very weak on.
A record on crime that was so inconsistent that Donald Trump wrote a check to her campaign for Attorney General after that time as District Attorney. Danielle Alvarez, thank you for coming on with this. I appreciate you bringing the Trump campaign's perspective to our viewers.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.